If you thought the Buffalo Bills were going to cruise through training camp drama-free this year, well, welcome to the chaos. The opening weeks of camp have been a whirlwind, and not in a good way. From mounting injuries to unexpected player absences and growing concerns around key offensive pieces, the Bills' 2025 preseason is anything but quiet. It's the kind of start that tests depth challenges, coaching flexibility, and raises big-picture questions before a single snap of real football is played. Let's start with what might be the most frustrating update for fans: Khalil Shakir. Everyone knows the kind of potential this guy brings to the field. He's one of those young receivers who seem primed to take that next leap, especially with how the offense is shaping up post Stephon Diggs. There were real expectations that Shakir could be a volume guy, the type to soak up targets and carve out a serious role from the slot. But that all hit pause. He tried to gut it out during the Baltimore game, clearly not moving, right? Clearly compromised. And now we know that ankle is going to cost him some serious time. He won't be back this week. In fact, the talk around camp is that we're looking at a multi-week absence minimum. And with ankles, man, those things linger if you don't shut it down early. No one wants this to become a nagging season-long issue. Not for a player that's critical to the offensive rhythm, but Shakir is not the only one sidelined. The injury list is long and it's growing. Offensive lineman Cedric Van Pran Granger still hasn't taken a single practice snap. He's been out from the jump. Cornerback Maxwell Harrison is battling a sprained LCL. That's going to cost him several weeks at least. Alec Anderson had to undergo a knee scope. Safety Cole Bishop, a guy with big upside, is out with a quad issue. Curtis Samuel, also dealing with something muscular. Linebacker Dorian Williams, who many expected to make a big push this year, is nursing an injury as well. Wide receiver Caden Prather. Linebacker Shaq Thompson, safety Taylor Rapp. And don't forget Tyler Bass, who's still working through some pelvic soreness. That's your kicker. That's a lot of talent on the shelf. And we haven't even touched the guys who are practicing in a limited capacity. Josh Palmer's dealing with a groin injury. Reggie Gilliam too. Terrell Bernard and Spencer Brown are finally starting to ramp things up, but both were limited during the most recent session. Now seeing Brown activated over the weekend was a huge positive, no doubt. It suggests that he's on track to be fully back soon. But still, when the list of non-participants is longer than the list of guys on the field, it's a red flag. You can't build chemistry and cohesion if everyone's watching from the sideline. And then there's James Cook. This one got weird. So let me set the scene. Sean McDermott takes the podium ahead of Sunday's practice. He runs out through the expected list of who's in, who's out. No mention of anything unusual beyond the injuries we just listed. Then practice starts. And James Cook, he's not suited up. No helmet, no pads. Just walking around in street clothes. Immediately, eyebrows go up. Did he tweak something? Was there a last-minute scratch? But here's the thing, no one said anything. No report from the team. No injury update. After practice, reporter Elena Getzenberg walks up to Cook and straight up asks him why he didn't. Practice. His response, one word, business. She follows up, asks if he's going to practice tomorrow. Same answer, business. According to her report, that's all he said. Repeated the word a few times and walked away. The team declined to comment. No explanation, no context, just business. Now listen, that's not just a random quote. That's a message. That's a statement. When a guy skips a mandatory practice and the only thing he offers is a cryptic reference to contract matters, yeah, we've officially entered holding territory. He showed up, stayed around, technically didn't hold out, but also refused to practice. That's a hold-in. And that's a signal that something is bubbling behind the scenes. What makes this more interesting is that according to reports, the Bills and James Cook have been in constant communication. Tom Pelissero mentioned that the two sides aren't that far apart on a new deal. And honestly, that lines up with the rumblings that were floating around early last week. You could feel it in the air that something was happening. People around the team even hinted that the vibes were optimistic. But then the weekend hits and boom, James Cook decides it's time to make a statement. So the question now becomes, what happens next? Does Cook suit up and play without a new contract? Is this a full-blown leverage play? Does this escalate to a trade request like we've seen in other situations around the league with stars who feel underappreciated? Or is this just a brief hiccup, A little posturing that gets resolved quietly behind closed doors. There's a lot to unpack here. Cook is a player this offense absolutely needs, with Josh Allen still doing Josh Allen things. Having a dynamic back like Cook out of the backfield gives the team flexibility, balance, and explosive potential. He's expected to touch the ball more than any other skill position player not named Allen. Losing him, or even just having him disengaged during the most critical installation period of training camp, is not the type of start you want for a unit that's still reshaping its identity after key departures. And look, the Bills have leverage. James Cook is under contract. The team isn't known for caving to player demands in public-facing negotiations. Brandon Beane doesn't blink easily. He's never been the type to let outside pressure dictate terms. But at the same time, Cook knows what he brings. He sees the writing on the wall. Well, this offense is being built with him as a central piece. And maybe, just maybe, he's decided it's time to cash in before he racks up another season of hits. Meanwhile, back on the field, while all of this is unfolding, the quarterback battle for the backup job is heating up. Mike White and Mitch Trubisky are going at it. Now, let me tell you something from what I saw across several days of camp. Mike White looks a little sharper. It's not a wide gap, but you can see it. The ball comes out of his hands quicker. He processes faster. He's more accurate, especially in short to intermediate throws. Trubisky has his strengths. He's mobile, he's got a stronger arm, and he obviously has familiarity with the system and Josh Allen. That counts. Chemistry matters, but if we're judging purely on how the offense flows with each guy under center, I'm leaning White. That said, preseason is going to be the final word. These games will tell the story. Who handles live pressure better, who moves the chains, who avoids mistakes, all of that will shape how the coaching staff makes their call. But I'll say it again, if Mike White keeps this level, and especially if he flashes during the preseason, we might have a surprise shakeup at QB2. Now shifting to running backs, beyond the James Cook drama, one thing that stood out in a big way at camp was how often the team targeted the backs in the passing game. And honestly, that's music to my ears. The Bills were phenomenal last year when throwing to their backs. Efficiency metrics were off the charts. The only problem, they didn't do it often enough. They were one of the best teams at it and still ranked 20th in actual attempts to running backs. That doesn't make sense. But in camp there was a clear shift. We saw checkdowns, flat route, screens, even rail routes, where guys like Ty Johnson and Ray Davis were getting vertical against safeties. And they were winning, creating separation, moving the chains. I don't know if it's because the defense is bringing more pressure in this new scheme and the offense is reacting with quick throws, or if it's a deliberate adjustment by the coaching staff to feature the backs more. I hope it's the latter. Because if they really commit to using Cook, Johnson, Davis, and company in the passing game, this offense takes on a whole new dimension. And speaking of young offensive weapons, we got to talk about Keon Coleman. This dude is making noise. Yes, there have been some drops. Frustrating ones too, especially when you see him pull off circus catches and then let a perfect slant pass go through his hands. But overall, the guy looks legit. He's doing what the team drafted him to do, winning on the outside using his size and physicality to battle defenders, making himself available for tough contested catches. He's not going to blow you away with burst or acceleration, but that's not his game. He's a perimeter brawler, and he's showing up. Injuries at wide receiver have opened the door for a few unexpected names to get first-team reps. Christian Wilkerson has been out there a lot. So has Steven Gosnell. These guys weren't really expected to be in the mix, but opportunity came knocking. Still, when the offense lines up in 11 personnel, the trio you see the most is Coleman, Josh Palmer, and Khalil Shakir when healthy. That's telling. What it means for guys like Elijah Moore or Curtis Samuel who have missed time is unclear. Are they falling behind, or will they re-enter the fold once they're fully back? That's something to watch. We also need to shine some light on Dalton Kincaid. The hype train last year may have gotten ahead of itself, and some fans cooled us bid after a rookie season that didn't quite explode the way people hoped. But from what I saw in camp, he's quietly been excellent. He's creating separation on corner routes, finding space underneath, and building a real connection with Josh Allen. He even pulled off an absurd end zone catch in tight coverage that had everyone buzzing. I get that people are hesitant to buy back in, but I'm telling you, Kincaid looks ready to be a major contributor. Let's stop here for now. Next up, we'll shift focus to the defense and special teams, including what I saw from some of the young linebackers, the reshaped secondary, and yes, the battle for punter. Stay tuned, folks. This camp has only just begun. While all eyes have been on the offense, between the James Cook holding Keon Coleman's emergence and Dalton Kincaid quietly silencing doubters, the defense has been throwing out its own signals. And let me tell you, if you think the offense has had its share of bumps, the defense has been a full-blown roller coaster. Some guys are standing out, others are missing, and overall there's this sense that the unit is still trying to find its footing under the weight of injuries and schematic tweaks. The first thing that absolutely jumps out is the aggression. This is not the same conservative bend-on-break approach we've seen from Sean McDermott's defense in past years. No, this defense is hunting, it's blitzing, it's disguising pressure. They're sending 5, sometimes 6 guys over and over again. It feels like McDermott took everything that frustrated him about the passive style, especially in those moments when the Bills folded in the playoffs, and flipped the table. It's a new tone, and you can see it in the reps. There's energy. There's confusion. Quarterbacks are being forced to make quick decisions. But here's the thing, when you run that kind of system, you better have the corners who can survive on an island. You better have linebackers who don't miss tackles. And you need communication to be airtight. That's where the injuries start to complicate the picture. Guys like Shaq Thompson, who are expected to be key vocal leaders at the second level, haven't been practicing. That slows down the install. Terrell Bernard is ramping up, yes, but he's been limited. Dorian Williams is out. So what you're left with is a rotating cast of backups and rookies being forced into prominent roles. And in some ways, that's been great for evaluation. You see who can handle live bullets. But it also creates a hazy view of what the final product is going to be. It's like watching a movie before the visual effects are added. You get a general sense, but it's not complete. Still, there have been flashes. Edefuan Ulofoshio, for example, has been flying around. He's not perfect. No one expects that yet. But he's explosive. And when he triggers downhill, he does it with intent. He's one of those players you notice even when he's not making the tackle. There's motion, there's urgency. The kind of stuff you want to see from someone trying to force his way into the rotation. And then there's Matt Milano. Look, it's tough to overstate just how important he is to this defense. He's the pulse. When he's not on the field, and he hasn't been during most of this camp stretch, everything feels just a little off. Communication breaks down a little easier. The second level doesn't close as quickly. Coverage responsibilities get a little messier. He's the anchor. And while no one's sounding the alarm yet on his long-term status, the reality is simple. This defense is a different beast when Milano's healthy and locked in. Without him, you're patching holes. Now let's talk about the secondary. And wow, there's a lot going on there. For starters, Christian Benford has looked solid. I don't know if he's going to be the cornerback one by the time the season kicks off, but he's certainly been the most consistent presence so far in camp. He's sticky in coverage, he's physical at the top of routes, he's not the fastest guy, but he's playing with confidence, and that matters when you're playing. Opposite wideouts who love to test you deep. Kyle Elam, on the other hand, remains a wild card. Some days he looks the part. Long, athletic, reactive. Other days he's out of position, grabbing jerseys and getting beat over the top. You can tell the talent is there, but the consistency is lacking. It's year 3. You want to see things click. You want to see him stop thinking and just play. But it still feels like he's caught between his athletic gifts and the mental processing part of the position. Meanwhile, the safety group is also dealing with its share of uncertainty. Taylor Rapp's injury is another blow, especially considering how valuable his versatility is in this new-look defense. He's someone who can come down in the box slide into the slot or drop into deep zones depending on the look. His absence takes away flexibility. Micah Hyde is doing his thing, but at this point in his career, managing his reps and keeping him fresh is priority number 1. You don't want him peaking in August. You need him in December, January. And if the plan is to use 3 safety looks, which it appears to be, you better hope everyone's healthy, because depth is thin right now. Speaking of depth, one name that keeps coming up among the coaching staff, and for good reason, is Cole Bishop. He's out with a quad injury at the moment, but before that he was making noise. Rookie or not, he was getting plenty of meaningful reps. You could see the instincts. You could see the range. He was arriving with intent, and coaches were clearly intrigued. It's unfortunate that his momentum got interrupted, but once he's back, don't be surprised if he starts pushing for real snaps. One player I wasn't expecting to stand out, but has, at least when healthy, is Jamarcus Ingram. He's been in the system, he knows the language, and while he may never be a CB1 type, he's holding his own. He's not giving up many big plays, and in a camp full of moving parts, sometimes the ability to just be steady makes a difference. Now, while the secondary and linebacker units have been full of ups and downs, one group that's been quietly solid is the defensive line. Greg Rousseau looks like a man on a mission. He's bulked up a bit, but hasn't lost any twitch. He's playing with better leverage, and there's a maturity to his game now. He's not just trying to run around people, he's setting edges, using his hands more effectively, and finishing plays. If he takes another leap this year, that changes the entire complexion of the front. Leonard Floyd's presence also brings a calming veteran energy to the room. He's not flashy during camp, that's not his style, but he's deliberate. Every step, every read, every rep feels like it has a purpose. That kind of leadership is invaluable when your room includes younger guys like Kingsley Jonathan or Cameron Klein who are still finding their groove. And then there's Von Miller, the great question. How close is he to being Von Miller again? That's the million-dollar mystery. He's participating, he's moving around, but you don't get the same twitch yet, the same burst. Maybe it's preservation. Maybe they're managing his workload smartly after what happened last year. Or maybe, and I hate saying this, maybe we've seen the peak. Time's undefeated, right? But I will say this, even if he's not the old Von Miller, every snap having him in the rotation, in the locker room, in the film room, that still matters. He commands attention. He's a tone setter, even if he's not. Taking 60 snaps a game. Let's pivot real quick to special teams, specifically the punter battle. Yes, I said punter. Don't roll your eyes. This actually matters. Brad Robbins is in camp and drawing attention. The guy has a leg, no question. But it's not just about raw power. Placement, hang time, consistency. All of that's being watched closely. And the fact that he's getting a real look tells you the coaching staff wants to tighten up that phase. Last season, there were too many games where special teams felt like a net zero. That's not going to cut it in close matchups, especially in the AFC where margins are razor thin. Now, I mentioned earlier that camp has been riddled with injuries. And while that's obviously a negative, it has unintentionally created opportunities, especially along the offensive and defensive lines. With guys like Alec Anderson and Cedric Van Pran-Granger out, there's been a domino effect. New faces are getting serious reps. One of those is Mike Edwards. This guy is enormous. Built like a bouncer, moves like a basketball forward. He's not just a big body, he's got feet. And while it's still early, the fact that he's holding his own against top rotation guys is worth noting. He spent last year on the practice squad, but you can tell the development arc is bending in the right direction. It'll be tough to crack the final roster, sure, but if he keeps trending this way, you stash him again and let the progress continue. That's the kind of internal development good franchises thrive on. Another under third out storyline is what's happening at tight end 3. Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox are locked in, obviously, but the Bills appear committed to finding a real blocking presence for those heavy sets. And that's where Jace Whitaker comes in. He's not flashy as a receiver, but he's already establishing himself as a strong point of attack guy. He's sealing edges, working double teams, and showing enough hands to be functional in the pass game. He's not going to turn into George Kittle overnight, but he looks like someone who can give this team some real versatility when they go into jumbo looks. At the end of the day, this camp has raised as many questions as it's answered. What's the end game with James Cook? Can the wide receiver room get healthy and stabilize? Will the secondary come together in time? And can this defense deliver on its aggressive identity when the bullets start flying in September? These are all storylines we're going to keep tracking in the weeks ahead. The good news, there's still time. Preseason games are coming. Final roster cuts will bring clarity. But for now, one thing is certain, the 2025 Buffalo Bills are anything but boring. And if the start of camp is any indication, we're in for a season full of drama breakout performances and the kind of tension that only real contenders bring to the table. Stick around, because next up we're diving into player-by-player preseason expectations, starting with the one name you've probably heard all off-season, but still aren't talking about enough. You won't want to miss it. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. In a move that has sent ripples through the American football landscape, the Buffalo Bills have reportedly set their sights on a surprising new talent from across the pond. Sources close to the organization hint at the possibility of the Bills signing Efe Obada, the British-born defensive end currently with the Washington Commanders. This potential acquisition has caught many fans and analysts off guard, sparking intense speculation about the strategic intentions behind such a bold move. Obada, known for his resilience and unique journey into the NFL, would bring not only skill but an intriguing international flair to the Bills' defensive line. The whispers around the league suggest that Buffalo's front office is eager to shake things up as they look towards strengthening their defense for the upcoming season. With Obada's underdog story and impressive adaptability, this rumored signing could mark a significant shift in how NFL teams view and utilize international talent. Observers are buzzing with theories on how Obada's presence might influence the team's dynamics, defensive schemes, and overall competitiveness. Whether the Bills are looking to tap into a broader market or simply capitalize on Obada's potential, this rumor alone has added a new layer of excitement and intrigue to the NFL offseason. The suggestion that the Bills are targeting Efe Obada might seem surprising at first glance, but it aligns with a growing trend of NFL teams scouting talent beyond traditional American pipelines. Obada, who overcame numerous obstacles to reach the NFL, embodies the kind of grit and determination that franchises crave. His experience with the Commanders has been marked by flashes of brilliance, despite not always being in the spotlight. If Buffalo follows through on this rumored move, it could represent a strategic gamble aimed at injecting fresh energy and perspective into their defensive unit. Moreover, the potential signing feeds into the larger narrative of the NFL becoming increasingly global, with international players slowly carving out space in what was once a predominantly American domain. The Bills, known for their innovative approach under head coach Sean McDermott, might see in Obada a unique blend of raw talent and relentless work ethic that fits their philosophy. Fans and experts alike are now dissecting how Obada's style, characterized by agility, strength, and a relentless motor, might mesh with Buffalo's defensive schemes, possibly leading to unexpected on-field chemistry. Speculation surrounding Efe Obada's possible transition to the Buffalo Bills has also ignited discussions about the implications for both teams involved. The Commanders, who have had their share of roster shifts recently, might be contemplating parting ways with Obada due to salary cap constraints or shifting defensive priorities. On the other hand, the Bills' rumored interest could indicate a desire to capitalize on a player who, while not a household name, brings a unique edge to the defensive end position. This scenario fuels the notion that Buffalo's management is willing to take calculated risks on players who may have been undervalued or underutilized in their previous settings. Analysts are debating whether Obada's signing would be primarily a depth move, or if the Bills envision him stepping into a more prominent role. The mere possibility of this trade or signing deal has already prompted a wave of social media chatter, with fans projecting how Obada's arrival might alter the Bills' defensive rankings and game day strategies. In a league where every roster decision is scrutinized, this rumored move could either be a stroke of genius or a puzzling gamble, making it one of the offseason's most intriguing storylines. Beyond the tactical considerations, the rumored acquisition of Efe Obada by the Bills underscores a larger narrative about the evolving identity of NFL teams as they seek competitive edges in unconventional ways. Obada's British roots and unconventional path to the NFL make him a symbol of the league's slow but steady internationalization. This move, if it materializes, could also be interpreted as a savvy marketing decision, helping the Bills tap into European fan bases hungry for representation in the sport's highest levels. In recent years, the NFL has ramped up its global outreach efforts, with games held abroad and increased scouting in Europe. The Bills potentially adding a British star could serve as a beacon for aspiring players outside the United States, highlighting the opportunities available to international athletes. Moreover, this rumor invites a reevaluation of talent scouting methodologies, emphasizing the importance of looking beyond traditional college football programs. The buzz around Obata's potential signing fuels a narrative of breaking barriers and expanding horizons, which could influence how teams build their rosters in the future, blending talent with global appeal in a way that reshapes the NFL's cultural and competitive landscape. As the rumor mill continues to churn, the Buffalo Bills' supposed interest in Efe Obata has fans and commentators eager for confirmation or denial. The prospect of a British defensive end joining one of the NFL's most passionate franchises is a storyline ripe with dramatic potential. It raises questions about the Bills' long-term vision, their approach to player development, and their willingness to invest in players with unconventional backgrounds. Obata's journey, marked by perseverance and overcoming adversity, fits well with the gritty ethos the Bills have cultivated over recent seasons. This potential signing could galvanize the fan base, adding a compelling narrative to follow during training camps and beyond. While nothing is confirmed, the buzz itself has created a surge of interest and speculation, turning what could be a routine offseason signing into a major talking point. Whether this rumor becomes reality or fades away, the conversation it has sparked highlights the unpredictable and dynamic nature of NFL roster moves, reminding fans that the sport's excitement extends far beyond the game itself. The Bills and Obata, if united, could make headlines for reasons far beyond just football. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.